All right, thanks so much for joining us on the bright side. We're talking peptides and proteins. We spent a couple of weeks talking about glutamine, which is a major building block for the body's most important cancer fighter, most important anti-aging, most important antioxidant, most important healing molecule, glutathione. And using glutamine, as we've said, glutamine in foods or glutamine supplements is a great way to boost your own glutathione. Using glutamine supplements is a great way to build muscle, a great way to improve detoxification, great way to improve digestive health. And there's so many benefits to using glutamine as a supplement or eating glutamine in foods. We spent a couple weeks talking about that. You can review the archives at brightsideben.com or at benfuchsarchives.com. if you want more information on that. We're now moving on to the second component of our tri-peptide, triple peptide glutathione, and that's cysteine. I love this stuff. This is my favorite. Well, one of my favorite amino acids anyway. I've been talking about it for many years for detox purposes. Cysteine is the most reactive, the most active of the amino acids. It's stupendously important for detox, for alcohol detox, to prevent hangovers. It's used in emergency rooms. We'll talk about all that here in the coming days. Cysteine is, as I say, it's the most active of the amino acids. By the way, cysteine, hairstylists love cysteine. Cysteine is super important for hair. You can tell you got low cysteine levels or you have a problem absorbing cysteine. Either you're problems absorbing it or you're not getting enough in foods, you're not getting enough animal products, you got digestive problems. You can tell that you're deficient in cysteine if you have brittle hair or brittle nails. Yesterday we talked about brittle nails, but also brittle hair. Frizzy hair, hair that breaks, or hair that falls off, all can be related to deficiencies in this super reactive and super important amino acid. Yesterday we talked about the much underappreciated role of connective tissue when it comes to health and the strength of the body. Connective tissue is along with muscle tissue, forms the bulk of the body. Connective/muscle tissue. They're different, but they're related. Pretty much all degenerative disease has a significant connective/muscle tissue component. Aging, especially the visible signs of aging, wrinkles, skin laxity, skin looseness, are in large part connective tissue/muscle tissue concerns. In fact, many of the cosmetic aspects and many of the beauty aspects of connective and muscle tissue breakdown are what we actually associate with aging. When we talk about the aging process and we talk about anti-aging, we're very rarely anyway talking about the heart or talking about the liver or talking about the spleen or talking about the lungs. These parts of the body obviously age as well as other parts of the body, but when we talk about anti-aging, when we talk about aging in general or accelerated aging, what we're really talking about is the visible signs of aging. Nobody really cares. Maybe they do care, maybe we do care, but we don't really talk a lot about lung aging or spleen aging or intestine aging. We're usually talking about skin aging or bone aging or muscle aging. These are the visible signs of aging, and these are connective tissue/muscle tissue concerns. Many cosmetic procedures, facelifts, plastic surgery, implants, these all involve manipulating connective tissue. There's doctors who can actually do surgical procedures to give you pecs, like you've been a bodybuilder, give you big pecs, or give you muscly calves. Or even a surgical six-pack. I got a friend who's a doctor in Denver. He can actually give you a surgically implanted six-pack set of abs, all of which are examples of doctoring and surgical procedures that can give you strong connective or pretend to give you strong connective and muscle tissue. They don't really give you strong connective tissue or muscle tissue. You have a calf implant or a pec implant or a six-pack abdominal implant. What you've got is an implanted connective tissue. You don't really have strong connective/muscle tissue. You got it implanted. Muscle and connective tissue are what we call meat. Whether it's a roast or whether it's a steak or whether it's a hamburger, what we're really talking about when we eat meat, we're talking about animal muscle/connective tissue. And by the way, the only reason a meat is red meat or white meat is because of the type of muscle it contains. So for folks who are saying, I have folks all the time say, well, I don't eat any red meat, I only eat white meat. The only difference between red meat and white meat has to do with the kind of muscle that they contain. Has nothing to do with their health. Yeah, there's a little bit more fat probably in red meat, but as far as the redness or the whiteness goes, that's just the muscle. And red meat and white meat are equally healthy or equally not healthy, depending on how you want to look at it. White meat is a kind of muscle that's used for quick bursts of energy. It's found in animals that move quickly. Fish have white meat. Chickens have white meat. They move really quickly. Fish and chicken, they're flapping their wings real fast, or they're bolting real fast, or fish move around in the ocean really fast. These fast movements require white meat type of muscle. It's called fast twitch muscle. Cows, on the other hand, they don't move as quickly. Pigs also, they don't move as quickly. Their muscles move more slowly. Their muscles are more powerful than chicken or than fish, and all that power takes oxygen, and oxygen requires hemoglobin, which is red actually in the muscle. We call it myoglobin. Same idea though, same purpose and function, holds on to oxygen. In any case, if you prefer red meat over white meat, the only difference is that you're getting a slow twitch muscle versus a fast twitch muscle, and you're getting a little bit more myoglobin than you are when you eat red meat than you are when you eat white meat. For those of you guys who like steak over chicken, it isn't because of the myoglobin. Myoglobin, by the way, is that red liquid that leaks out of your meat in the wrapper and the packaging. Myoglobin contains the iron in meat, and it's what makes your meat change color as it cooks. The iron in the myoglobin actually changes color. It gets darker. But in any case, what most of us like about steak and beef isn't the myoglobin, it's the dissolved connective tissue, which accounts for the flavor and the moistness of a good piece of meat. We don't really like meat that much. Nobody would eat meat if it didn't have connective tissue dissolved in it to give that meat a sort of juicy flavor. Do you ever have a really, really super dry piece of meat, a super overcooked or super dry piece of steak? It doesn't taste very good. It's the connective tissue that accounts for the flavor, the juiciness of a good piece of meat. In fact, processed meats will usually have extra connective tissue thrown into it to create this kind of flavorful, juicy effect. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll continue our discussion on proteins and peptides and cysteine and how you can use cysteine to improve your health. When we come back from our break, I'm Pharmacist Ben. 855-660-4261 is our number. We'll be back right after this. All right, we're talking about cysteine, the really, really powerful amino acid, the most active, the most powerful, or the most active anyway, the most reactive amino acid in the body. It's got so many properties. It's a structural amino acid. As I was saying earlier, if you got hair problems or fingernail problems, chances are you got a cysteine problem, especially if you've got thin nails, or if you have brittle hair. It may not be just cysteine. It could also have to do with absorption of cysteine. Some of you guys may have made the connection between cysteine and homocysteine. Homocysteine is a toxin, especially a heart toxin, also a brain toxin, and it is indeed related to cysteine. It has to do with the reactivity of cysteine. We'll be talking about that one in the next few days. There's ways to protect yourself from homocysteine. Cysteine is helps the body make connective tissue. Connective tissue breakdown is one of the signs of aging. As I was saying before we went to break, meat is a combination of connective tissue and muscle tissue. What we like about meat, the flavor of meat, is really the connective tissue, the dissolving of the connective tissue. Processors, meat processors like the folks who make chicken nuggets or chicken McNuggets will pretty much always throw a little connective tissue into their processed meat to help improve the flavor of the meat. When connective tissue melts, it makes your hamburger, or your steak, or your chicken nuggets, chicken McNuggets nice and juicy. This connective tissue, if it's not overcooked, can actually be very healthy, and it can be very healing and building and anti-aging as long as it is protein connective tissue, especially collagen, that is not overcooked. Collagen's a tripeptide, has some interesting connective tissue building properties for our connective tissue. So when we eat collagen, we get better connective tissue, and that even means connective tissue in meat. However, it's not the connective tissue called fat. Fat is a type of connective tissue. We're not talking about fat here. We're talking about connective tissue that's collagen. That is the amino acids that make collagen. Cooked fat is a really big problem. Cooked fat is just not a good thing to do to your bodies, and fat is a type of connective tissue, but that's what you don't want. Don't want a lot of fat in your meat. Not only is fat a problem when it's cooked, it can create carcinogenic, cancer-causing compounds, but fat is also where the hormones and the other drugs that animals get are partitioned into. The more fat a meat has, if it's not an organic piece of meat, the more pesticides, the more growth hormones and other types of hormones, estrogen that you're getting, because all of that tends to deposit in the fat. And this is why it's possible, anyway, that white meat may have less toxicity, because white meat has lower fat. Now, I said earlier, white meat, the white part of the meat and the red part of the meat are basically the same thing, with the exception of some myoglobin, but red meat tends to have a little more fat associated with it, and for that reason, it can have a little bit more toxicity, hormone toxicity, antibiotic toxicity, etc., than white meat, although I haven't seen any literature or studies that have discussed this, but just by implication, if you understand chemistry, fat accumulates some of these toxins, so the fattier your meat, and red meat is fattier than white meat, the more problems you may have. One of the most troubling and potentially, at least, unattractive manifestations of breakdown of connective tissue and muscle tissue, mostly connective tissue though, is the condition called cellulite. Cellulite is a connective tissue disorder. Cellulite is a sign of the breakdown of connective tissue. Remember, aging and the visible signs of aging, wrinkles and thinning skin and thinning bones, all of these are connective tissue issues, and likewise with cellulite. This is why most cellulite creams and wraps and gels are pretty much baloney. And I have to admit, I've been forced to make, well, not forced, but being a mercenary type, I got paid to make seaweed wraps and caffeine wraps. And I remember one of the first products I developed back in the early 1990s was a cellulite cream. It had a sort of caffeine derivative in it that was supposed to help your body burn fat. All of these kinds of products are basically baloney when it comes to cellulite. That's because cellulite is a sign of the breakdown of connective tissue, and you aren't going to build connective tissue by putting a cream or a wrap or a gel or going to a spa and doing a seaweed bath or any of these kinds of silly cellulite products. You're not really going to build connective tissue by putting something on your skin. The connective tissue is underneath the skin. It's underneath the surface of the skin. And this is why it's so important to understand the body. If we don't understand the body, especially when it comes to skincare, we're just going to smear stuff on the surface and assume that we're doing something, and we're going to be led to believe that we're doing something by people selling us the darn creams. But the fact of the matter is, connective tissue is different from the surface of the skin. There's four main parts of the skin, or of the body. There's the connective tissue, muscle tissue complex, there's the nervous tissue, and then there's the surface, the candy coating. When we rub stuff on the skin, we're only working, for the most part, with the surface. It's called epithelia. It's just like a candy coating. And you're not going to really get into the connective tissue by putting stuff on the top, with three main exceptions. I call them the big three skincare ingredients, and that's alpha hydroxy acids, vitamin A, and vitamin C. Those are the three ways to actually change connective tissue topically. Other than that, it is extremely difficult, if not impossible, to build connective tissue by putting stuff on the surface. I hope you guys understand this because it's so important. We are led down this path of purchasing crazy products to build our connective tissue, and we don't really understand the distinction between connective tissue and surface tissue. So we think, oh, I'll just rub this stuff on and I won't have any wrinkles. You can't change wrinkle formation or build strong, healthy connective tissue for the most part by rubbing stuff on your skin, no matter what the pretty models say on TV. If you don't make a distinction between connective tissue and surface tissue, so-called epithelia, you're going to think it's all the same thing, and you're going to end up being far less effective in how you address your skin, your skincare problems, your cellulite. And significantly, not making this important distinction is going to make you much more vulnerable to marketing and sales of skincare that only address the surface of the skin, in addition to addressing your wallet and your money. Cellulite's a classic example. Cellulite is purely and simply a connective tissue breakdown. That's cellulite. Okay? So if anybody tells you we don't know what cellulite is and we don't know what causes it, I'm telling you right now, it's a connective tissue breakdown. Underneath your skin, you have a layer of connective tissue, and this is what gives the skin its firm, resilient, tight, wrinkle-free nature. Underneath that connective tissue layer is a layer of fat. And what we call cellulite is really the fat layer poking through the connective tissue layer. Why? Because the connective tissue is weak. That bubbly look that cellulite has, that's the fat poking through the layer of connective tissue. Cellulite is the manifestation of weakened connective tissue, just like osteoporosis is, just like wrinkles are, just like the shriveling and shrinking up that are associated with the aging process is. So what do you do if you got cellulite? What do you do if you got a connective tissue problem? Lots of stuff you can do. And we'll continue this discussion when we come back from our break, and we'll take your phone calls as well. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. All right, we're back on The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. Thank you for being here, friends. Let's see, I'm going to talk about, I think I'm going to save this discussion on cellulite, finish up this discussion on cellulite tomorrow. We'll tell you about how you can take care of cellulite issues as we continue talking about connective tissue and cysteine. Cysteine, as it turns out, is involved in building connective tissue. Cysteine is a very important structural protein, and before you go out and start supplementing with cysteine, you should know that absorption of cysteine is just as important as your intake of cysteine. And this is really key when it comes to nutrition. In the world of nutrition, we say it's not what you take, it's what you absorb. Protein absorption is pretty darn tricky. You need to make sure that you got enough enzyme action, enough acids in your digestive tract. You got to make sure you have a healthy intestine, et cetera, et cetera. All of these are going to play a role in how well you absorb cysteine and ultimately how well you build connective tissue, how strong your hair and nails are, and how well you're detoxifying, because cysteine is a very, very important detoxification amino acid. Okay, we'll continue this discussion tomorrow on cysteine and peptides and glutathione, all as it regards bone building and connective tissue building, and using nutrition to build the body, to build connective/muscle tissue as well as bone, which indeed is a type of connective tissue. Okay, 855-660-4261 is our number. I'm going to try to get to all our calls today. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. John in Colorado, welcome to the bright side. Is this is Senator John?
No, it was an attempted Senator John. Good morning, Dan.
You're a senator to me, John. You're a senator to me. I voted for you, just so you know.
Well, you're far greater than a senator, I'll tell you that, Ben. You are just fantastic, and all the knowledge that you impart to people and the stuff that actually works.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And I learned so much just in the last couple of segments. I thought that Cysteine was a chapel in the Vatican.
That's the Cysteine Chapel. Nah, that's funny.
Yeah.
I like that. No, it's not. Well, it is. How is that called? That's called the Cysteine Chapel, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Is it? How's that spelled? Do you know?
I believe it's with an S, though.
Okay.
But I'm not
what does
sure.
it mean? I wonder what that means. I don't know what that means.
I don't know. I just heard you say the word.
No, cysteine is an amino acid for your hair and for your nails and for detox and for bone and et cetera. So keep listening to the bright side, because we'll be talking about it for a couple of days. So how can we help you, Senator? How can we help you today, Senator?
All right. I have a friend, first of all, a quick testimonial from the same person, but this is a friend who's a private in the Army, and he had an energy problem, and he took BTT, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine that you recommend as your favorite product, and the very same day that he took it, he and his wife had a big boost in energy, and they think this is just fantastic. They can get through the day a lot easier now.
One day.
It's just amazing. The very same day that they started taking it.
Thank you for sharing that. You know, that's the thing about the BTT, because it's loaded with nutrients and it's a liquid format, and most folks are deficient in nutrients, and most folks have absorption problems. You put this thing in your body, it goes right to work, and that's why I say most folks will notice results in 1 or 2 doses. Thanks for the testimonial. Appreciate it.
What's
going on?
It's magic. Now, the same gentleman, again, he's a private in the Army. He doesn't have a lot of money to spend, but he has something called Brugada syndrome, which is a heart condition, and I haven't heard of it before, and I was hoping you could help out.
Well, it's just a fancy name for saying, it's a specific type of arrhythmia, a specific type of electrical conductivity issue. The heart is an electrical system. The rhythm of the heart depends on electrical energy and the appropriate flow of electrical energy. You know, we take things for granted in the body, but really there's so much going on in the skin and in the different glands and in the eyes and in the different organs of the body, likewise in the heart. Just to get the heart to beat one time, let alone a billion times that it beats in a lifetime, just to get it to beat one time requires a whole a choreography, an organization of energies, that all organization of various energetic kinds of chemical reactions that all have to happen at just the right time, in just the right moment, in just the right fashion. And if there's dirt that gets into the system, I'll tell you what I mean by dirt here in a moment, electrical energy is not going to flow correctly, and you're going to end up with arrhythmias. This is what a heart arrhythmia is. It's a disruption in the flow of electrical energy. The question we need to ask is, what is disrupting the flow? Remember, all disease is cell disease. In the case of arrhythmias in the heart, you're dealing with heart cell disease. Heart cells are not functioning as they should, and a heart cell doesn't function the way it should, the same reason a bone cell doesn't function as it should, the same reason a skin cell doesn't function as it should, the same reason a nerve cell doesn't function as it should, or a toenail cell, or a liver cell, or any kind of cell. Cells do not function as they should when they're starved, when they're toxic, and when they're suffocated. This results in an inflammatory barrier. The body protects itself by walling off that cell, which has become dysfunctional because it's starved and suffocated and toxic. And that inflammation, that barrier, leads to more starvation and suffocation and toxification, which leads to more inflammation. And you get this downward spiral of toxicity, of starvation, and of suffocation. So what do? Well, you do the same thing for a heart arrhythmia that you do for osteoporosis, or you do for Crohn's disease, or you do for acne, or you do for anything. And this is the most powerful message that I can tell you. And this is the reason I do this program. It's because all disease is basically a function of the same kind of breakdown, and it doesn't matter if it's in the heart or the lungs or the liver or anywhere else. What you got to do, John, have your friend do, is focus on, number one, what is getting into the body that's causing this kind of breakdown. And that means usually a digestive issue. So patching up the digestive system and eliminating problem foods is always the first step. Use the Z radical, use the ultimate enzymes, make sure he's on the Biolumin Nightly Essence, and stay away from any foods that cause a digestive problem. This, most likely dairy, gluten, grains, and not just gluten, but all grains can be a problem, potentially. Eggs can be a problem, beans can be a problem. He's going to have to make that association, and I guarantee you, if this guy's got other health issues, 100% guarantee he's going to know he's got some kind of food allergy, food intolerance, or digestive issue. So focus on that, number one, patching up the digestive system and eliminating problem foods. The second thing you're going to want to do is make sure that he's make sure that he's oxygenating. Remember, suffocation is one of the big three issues that happens to a cell when it breaks down. So making sure he's oxygenating correctly, deep breathing techniques can do wonders for heart arrhythmias, for all circulatory health issues. Get an app called BioBreathing or My Calm Beat. Both of them are available on the Android or the iPhone app stores. So practicing deep breathing, slow deep breathing, in through the nose, out through the nose, belly out on the inhale, belly in on the exhale, a little bit more exhale than inhale. And that alone is going to make a huge difference for conductivity. Nothing will spark an arrhythmic episode than a lack of oxygen. And over the course of time, as we said many times on this program, our bodies contract, our muscles contract, we learn to contract, and all of these represent little pockets of lack of oxygen or anoxia. So deep breathing, very important, a little more exhale than inhale. Thirdly, you got to make sure that he is using nutrition, especially electrical nutrients. The most important electrical nutrients are the B complex, the electrolytes, which include potassium and magnesium and calcium and sodium and phosphorus. All of these are in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. They're all going to be in vegetable juices and vegetables. Small amounts of fruits can be helpful as well for these electrolytes. And the B complex of vitamins, super duper electrical. You may also want to try the Osteomag. Magnesium can have wonderful electrical benefits for the heart. The Osteomag from Longevity, and keeping him on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, and then using the Ultimate EFAs. When he takes his essential fatty acids, by the way, I would take them with food and with digestive enzymes. So improving electrical conductivity, improving oxygenation, eliminating toxicity from problem foods, and making sure that you patch up the digestive system using the Z Radical and the Biolumin Nightly Essence and all the other digestive nutrients that we talk about, and eating less food also. Intermittent fasting or every other day, not every other day, but maybe once a week or twice a week fasting can also be helpful. Thanks so much for your call and the kind words, John. I appreciate it. Got to move on. We're going to take a break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back right after this.
Great minds think alike. The network for the independent-minded. The Genesis Communications Network. GCN.
We are back on The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. Time to hit our phones, 855-660-4261. Let's see, where the heck is my phone calls? Johnny, will you click up? Oh, here it is. Let's go to Brian in New Hampshire. What's up, Brian? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Ben. I called yesterday. I wanted to follow up on something really quick.
All right.
I mentioned cortisol yesterday on my call, but my problem is that I'm only 25, and I'm getting, despite that I feel that I have a perfect diet, I still keep gaining weight. So my only conclusion was a high cortisol level.
Well, that could definitely be. Cortisol is the body's stress hormone, and famine and starvation are one of the major stresses to the body. So when cortisol levels go up, you're going to tend to gain weight. Because your body's trying to protect you from a famine. Of course, there's no famines, and we haven't had a famine for a long time, but that's the biochemistry of cortisol and weight gain. Cortisol will also cause you to burn sugar. When your sugar levels drop after you burn it, you're going to want more sugar, and so you'll get on the high blood sugar, low blood sugar roller coaster. Cortisol is one of the main reasons why that happens, and it's very likely that you do have elevated cortisol, because most people have elevated cortisol, because most of us are under a lot of stress. So, first thing you want to do, you want some help with that, I assume?
Indeed. I think of everything that I eat, it just seems like it goes my way.
Number one, protein, more protein. Protein not only is very satisfying, induces satiety, but it also tells the body that all is right in the world. That's what protein does, especially the amino acids that are found in meat. They have they're called, and dairy actually, they're called branched chain amino acids, BCAAs, technically leucine, valine, and isoleucine, but don't worry about that. Just call them BCAAs, and you can get BCAAs in whey protein, you can get them in animal meat and other animal products, and you can actually supplement with BCAAs, and BCAAs are a great way to induce satiety and satisfaction, and they have appetite suppressant effects as well. We spent a couple days talking about a couple weeks actually talking about glutamine. That can have a beneficial effect on cortisol and cortisone, and it can also have an appetite suppressant effect as well. And then most importantly, you want to see what is getting into your body that's activating this stress response. If it's something psychological, emotional, or mental, you want to work on that level. But if it's some kind of food stressor, or if it is processed foods, or if it's sugar, all of those need to be eliminated. And last but not least, oxygen and cortisol are opposites. So oxygenation, respiration, that is oxygen and carbon dioxide elimination, both of those are very important for lowering cortisol. If you have any kind of nutritional deficiencies, that's going to make matters worse. So make sure you get on the Mighty 90. Make sure you're sipping on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Make sure that you're using the Healthy Star Pack, etc. Nutritional deficiencies will spike cortisol levels as well. So most importantly, eliminate any kind of stressors on the body. Make sure you're on a supplement program. Oxygenate and get yourself some high protein, some good protein, and BCAAs, branched chain amino acids. Hope that helps, Brian. Got to move on. I want to get to as many calls here as possible. Anonymous. What's up, Anonymous, in the US of A? I think I know who you are.
Yes, hi, how you doing?
Hi, how you doing?
I want to first, because I know you want to balance, so keep your show in balance. I want to praise God and thank Him, because the other day here in where we live, it was very, very cold.
Where are you? Where are you, Anonymous?
In Northern Virginia.
Okay. It was cold in Virginia. You mean like 30 degrees cold or something? 40 degrees cold?
Less than that. Colder. It was like in the 0 degrees for a few days.
Oh, wow. In Virginia?
Yeah. Yes, in Virginia. It can get cold here. So anyway, the situation was that my skin was getting extra dry, and then one of my fingers, the skin got so bad that I could see the blood area of that skin, the epidermis.
Was it the tip of your finger?
No, this is on top of my nail, above my nail. So anyway, I want to praise God, because I told my husband, let's pray and trust in God, because I know, I was studying something related to health, so I have anatomy and physiology background. I'm an old-time student. I study with you, and I do research. And but anyway, but my trust above all is the Word of God and the Lord, God.
Praise God. But how can I help you here, ma'am?
And then I wanted to thank Him, because we saw a miracle after we prayed. The Lord put another layer of skin just like in 2 hours to cover that area, and then I saw the other part of the skin growing back.
All in one day?
In a few hours.
That's incredible.
That is a miracle of God.
That is a miracle.
I want to praise Him for that, to give a balance, and I know you like to hear, to give Him glory.
Praise God. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Is there anything I can do to help?
The other question I have is about dry mouth. We spoke to somebody. The person is very dear, and it's not my nature, my character, to mention names. Okay. Because we don't want to hurt anybody.
How can I help you, ma'am?
And the person told me that it has to do with the 7th cranial nerve.
Please.
I don't accept this.
Please.
Mouth is a condition.
No, don't make me mad here, Anonymous. Here's the deal. Dry mouth is a classic sign of an activated stress system. It's called your sympathetic nervous system. You've heard me talk about it, and if you've studied physiology, you know what I mean. You have two nervous systems. One controls stress, and the other controls relaxation. Almost every single problem we have that goes wrong with our body, almost every single thing that goes wrong with our body has to do with an activated stress system, the sympathetic nervous system, and dry mouth is a classic example. That's why if you're scared, your mouth will get dry. Before you have a public speaking, that's a classic thing that happens. People are scared to publicly speak, their mouth will go dry. If somebody tells you something, you get an IRS audit or something terrible happens in your life, your mouth will go dry. Why? Because when you're running from a saber-toothed tiger, and that's really what the sympathetic nervous system is designed to control, you're not supposed to eat food. So it'll dry up secretions in the mouth and in the entire digestive tract, actually. So dry mouth means that the body is under some kind of stress. Now, those stresses can be either nutritional deficiencies, they can be emotional and mental stresses, they can be a lack of oxygen, or they can be toxification or some kind of combination thereof. And I know I'm repeating myself, but that's really how it is. You know, all our breakdowns are basically the same problem, and that is good news, and that is empowering. So, Anonymous, you got to focus on what is, if it's for you, you got to focus on what is getting into your body that's activating this stress response. It could also be some kind of nutritional deficiency. Usually has something to do with fats and fatty vitamins and essential fatty acids or fat absorption, but it could be anything. So get yourself on the Mighty 90. If you have any kind of digestive issues, you need to correct those as well. Breathing, I know I probably just said this, I probably said it every day, but it's the same thing. Get yourself on the Mighty 90. Focus on digestive wellness. Eliminate any kind of stressors that are coming in emotionally and mentally and spiritually, for that matter. And then also, if you have any kind of digestive toxins that are getting into the system, make sure you're patching up any problems with leaky gut and eliminating problem foods. Using things like the Biolumin Nightly Essence and apple cider vinegar after meals can be helpful as well. Thanks so much for your call, and I appreciate it, and also your kind words as well. Let's see if we can get a couple more calls in here. Jay in California, welcome to the Bright Side, buddy.
Yeah, good. I went to a foot doctor with 2 warts on the ball of my foot, and he applied a solution with a Q-tip, and it seemed to function really good, and he thought that would be the end of it, but...
It wasn't, was it?
No, 3 weeks later it came back.
Yeah, that's the problem with boneheaded medical procedures. They take care of the symptoms, but they don't take care of the cause. A wart doesn't just spontaneously appear. It's not magic. It only appears when the immune system is suppressed. As long as the immune system is suppressed, it's not going to fight a virus. A wart is a virus. And it's not going to fight, your body's not going to be able to fight viruses, which it usually does, by the way. The vast majority of the time, we don't get viral infections and we don't get warts, and that's because the immune system usually takes care of everything, but once in a while, it doesn't. And that usually occurs when it's suppressed or it's overworked. So number one, you got to figure out, why is the immune system overworked? And that means something is getting in your body that's burdening the immune system, and that usually means something in the digestive system. So for warts, number one, patch up the digestive tract and eliminate problem foods. Use the Biolumin Nightly Essence, which can wonderful for boosting the immune system, as well as the Mighty 90, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, etc. Then there's some nutrients that are specific for building the immune system. We've been talking about a bunch of them for the last couple of weeks. Glutamine, building glutathione, using cysteine in its NAC form. Selenium, I'll be talking about that here sometime in the next few days, because that's involved with the glutathione. Get on the OPC selenium, probably 200 to 400, maybe 400 micrograms a day is a good place to be. Sulfur is stupendously important for the immune system and for the defense system. You can use sulfur in the NAC form, the NAC form, 500 milligrams a day, or you can take MSM sulfur. And if you have any problems digesting or absorbing protein, that can have a negative impact on your immune system, which is largely composed of protein. So you got to work on protein absorption too. Use liquid protein like whey protein. And then vitamin C. Don't forget about vitamin C, man. That stuff is stupendously valuable for building the immune system. I'd be using 5 to 10 grams a day if you have warts. And any topical procedures are only going to take care of the immediate symptom. They're not going to take care of the suppressed immune system, which is the cause of the warts in the first place. All right, that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for listening, friends. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Check out my website, brightsideben.com, and click on the Join the Team link and help me in my mission to educate the world about the importance of a good nutritional supplement program. We will talk to y'all later, folks. Have a wonderful, beautiful day. Bye for now.